Hey Laura, I'm very happy to have you today on the Audacious Explorer podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk to you.
Yeah, so today, guys, we are having Laura Pennington. She is very passionate about helping people, helping others find freelance freedom, and we're going to talk about how she got to the level of success that she has. You can find her on sixfigurewritingsecrets.com. So, Laura, please do share with us. How was your path? How did you get started?
Sure. So my background was in education. I intended to be a teacher or a professor, followed that path along to graduate school, took a job teaching in the American public school system, and it promptly sucked all the joy of education out for me. It wasn't the kids, it was the adults, and it was the system and the structure. The kids were pretty good, actually. But for me, I knew that it wasn't for me anymore. I couldn't be as creative as I wanted to. I didn't feel like I was able to help the students the way that I wanted to within the parameters of the public schools. So I quit that job, and in graduate school and college, I'd been told I was a good writer. I came into college not that great of a writer, got poor grades on my first papers, and really worked on improving that a lot, and had a number of experiences that made me into a stronger writer. So after I quit my teaching job, I Googled how to become a freelance writer. I read everything I could on the subject from all different kinds of people, different types of freelancers, people who were doing more journalism stuff, being published in magazines. And then I stumbled across somebody who was doing it completely online. And I thought, well, hey, this could work really well. I took a day job in an insurance brokerage and was working there. And I thought, well, this will, freelancing on the side will be perfect to do along with this. And my business really grew a lot faster than I expected. I thought it would just be a way to make some extra money, to get some experience, maybe move into a full-time writing job with a company later on. But I found that I really liked being my own boss. I liked working with other people, and I loved the digital aspect of it, of being flexible. And I've been doing it now for 5 years.
Yeah. So you are now working completely remotely, and you were mentioning that you are collaborating also with a team that is working remotely.
Yes. So I've done two different models with my freelancing business. One is doing all the freelance work myself, which is how I started, and it's how I work now. And then for an entire year, I outsourced all of my writing projects. So I managed a team of writers. I started that because I landed a project where the person needed hundreds of blogs per month, and it was not something I could do myself. So I managed a team of more than a dozen writers in more of a project manager sense, and I outsourced all my work to other people. And I did that for a year. I learned a lot doing it, and realized that, hey, I'm not enjoying this that much. It's not profitable or enjoyable at the same time. So I totally recalibrated my business at the end of 2015. I do all the writing now, but because of that, since I have other businesses, especially coaching people how to become freelancers and all of that, I realized I was going to have to let go of some of the control on that side so that I could be the chief writer behind the freelancing side. So I have a team of 3 virtual assistants and kind of 2 more people who will pitch in contractually when needed, and they handle almost all of the other aspects, booking guests on my podcast, handling my own podcast appearances, publishing blogs, sending my newsletters, creating presentations, handling my calendar. All of that stuff is assisted tremendously by other people so that I can make the most of my time.
Yeah, so I can feel the benefit of having a team, and I think that you are a great example for that. Many people who are starting as freelancers, they are trying to do everything themselves, and it gets pretty overwhelming at the beginning. How was it for you when you became a freelancer? What came out of that experience?
Yeah, I mean, it was hard. I really felt like I didn't know what I was doing. There were not a lot of resources when I got started. And I just happened to stumble onto some great clients and some great opportunities. It was a real learning experience, though. I mean, not everything was perfect. I had some horrible clients, some bad experiences. I didn't know a lot about, like how much I should book myself. So occasionally I would overbook myself and have too much going on. And then because I'd be busy, I wouldn't be marketing. So when all those projects wrapped up, then all of a sudden I'd look at my calendar and say, oh my gosh, I don't have anything, any money coming in for the next week or two, and would have to scramble relatively quickly to make that happen. So I learned a lot of lessons early on, and it is hard for people to outsource because when you start a freelance business, Normally you're doing so, you don't have a lot of income yet. You are trying to keep expenses low, so you don't want to outsource. But once I got to the point where I felt like I could not do any more in a given day, I was totally tapped out. Laura could not write more in any given day. It was important to start outsourcing some of those other tasks so that I could do that.
Absolutely. And now you have the space to actually invest yourself in what is more meaningful and what is speaking more to your heart. And I heard you mentioning the coaching part. So could you walk me through the system that is behind this coaching adventure? Is it the Better Biz Academy?
So the Better Biz Academy is where I kind of share all of my information about time management, productivity, managing a digital team specifically. My writing and freelance advice is kind of split between two other sites. The one that you mentioned earlier, Six Figure Writing Secrets, is one of those. And that actually came out because I had a number of friends still working as teachers, and they said, I've heard your story. I was profiled in Business Insider a couple of years ago, and they said, I really want to do what you do. Can you teach me how to be a freelance writer? And I thought, well, I do have a background in education. I could talk about my process. And I put together a course for them. And over time, I put together other courses for people. And now I use my podcast and giving away free materials and weekly YouTube videos to help people who are launching a freelance business, who want to avoid some of those stumbling blocks, or they're looking for answers on specific problems. So everything from finding clients to when to fire bad clients to figuring out the niche you want to work in. I try to help people along with that because it can be overwhelming, like you said.
Yeah, it does sound great. It feels that like if we are going on Better Biz Academy or Six Figures, then you can kind of find the system that worked for you and just implement it so that you can have more freedom and travel more.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I've tried to, split it up into different websites. So if you're interested in being a writer, Six Figure Writing Secrets is perfect. But if you're more interested in like general business or managing or hiring help digitally in your company, Better Biz Academy is where I put all that info.
Okay, great. I'm still very curious about the coaching process. Tell me how it works.
Yeah. So I've worked one-on-one with people before, but usually I don't work too one-on-one with people anymore. I use courses to help them through the process. And occasionally, like when they sign up for a course, there will be something where they'll get a 30 or a 60-minute strategy session with me to figure out some specific aspect of their business. I've also helped people do like one-on-one coaching sessions where they're like, I need help tweaking my Upwork profile, or I'm not happy with the pitch I'm sending out to land jobs. And then we'll kind of do like a video walkthrough. I'll even critique their writing samples and things like that. There's so much that goes into becoming a freelancer, whether it's a virtual assistant, graphic designer, writer, whatever, but you have to have these core materials of your work samples, a pitch, a website, and having someone who's more experienced take a look at that information for you and say, oh, hey, this is why you're not landing jobs. A lot of times we have tunnel vision. We don't see the little mistakes that we're making, or we're not asking for the business in the right way. And having another pair of eyes look at it can help you get that tweaked.
So what would you say the first 3 steps would be if somebody is deciding to become a freelance writer, let's say?
Sure. So the first thing to do if you're interested in becoming a writer is to inventory all your past experience. Everything counts: volunteer, school, and jobs that you've had. So for me, I write a lot in the legal and insurance industry. I worked in an insurance brokerage, and I spent most of college working for attorneys. So for me, I knew that industry. I knew the people in it. I knew the types of content they needed. And then I leveraged that to become a freelancer. Now, I've also worked on projects where I've written lesson plans for educators or for a textbook company. So there's my experience as a teacher coming into play. So inventory your experience, that's step 1. That can help point you in the right direction, at least for your initial jobs and your initial niche. Then the next thing you need to do is create some work samples. You can use something you've already created as long as it's not a situation where like you're working for a company and it's actually their property and all of that. So you might just want to create one. That's what I did when I got started. I created writing samples just out of thin air. I said, okay, I need a couple of sample blogs to show people my writing style. And then the third thing is to come up with a pitch. So how are you going to stand apart from other people? How are you going to approach your prospective clients and talk to them?
I find particularly difficult this third aspect, standing out and being unique, because now most everybody kind of combines the same things over and over again. What would you recommend?
So you need to find out what your unique value proposition is. What is it that you can do that's different than anyone else? Is it years of experience in the field? Is it like with my writing, it could be something like, oh, this is guaranteed original. You never have to worry about duplicate content. Is it that you can do it very quickly and you can turn around a deadline in 24 or 48 hours? Or is it, you have experience in this industry and you understand their specific needs? That comes up a lot when I work with attorneys because there's certain things they can and cannot say. They need to hire somebody who has experience in the legal field so that they don't have any missteps and get in trouble. Same thing comes up in the healthcare and medical industry. Experience really counts. So what is it about you specifically that's different from other people? It could even be amazing feedback from people you've already worked with, but find whatever your strength is and really lean in on that.
I hear you. And we are also talking about finding these clients, right? Finding the proper clients. How do you go about that?
You need to develop what I call an ideal client avatar. And there's some information and actually a workbook about that on Six Figure Writing Secrets. It might take you a while to identify this person, but I encourage you to come up with a vision of somebody in your head. Give them a name if you can. I know a lot of successful people, once they have met someone they'd classify as an ideal client, and I do this too, they measure everyone else against that person. So my ideal client's name is the name of one of my actual clients. And you want to think about not just the type of work they're providing you, but the overall experience they give you. So for me, I'm always asking, is this person easy to work with? If our first conversation, they reveal that they've hired and fired 6 other writers and that they're very picky and they want 10 rounds of revisions, immediately not the client for me. That's not conducive to me making money and delivering good work in my business. So I'm going to pass on that. It's also about their general personality. Do they pay their invoices on time? Are they giving you challenging and exciting projects? Is there the opportunity for repeat work? All of these are things you might want to include in an ideal client. So I think a lot of people understand like, oh, I'm looking for someone in a specific industry. I want to be a graphic designer for dentists. Okay, great. But go one step beyond that. What is the personality of the person you're working with? What are their needs? Are you trying to provide, you're only going to do website banners, or are you going to do Facebook ads and social media graphics, and, really find like what's going to work the best for you and your ideal client?
Yeah, I hear you. That is really, really a very important step. I also heard many people saying that since at the beginning is not very, very smooth, this process of defining your ideal client, you can just think about who you were several months ago or several years ago, and actually start from yourself and think where you brought yourself throughout this process, and then just reach out to the people that are closest to you and you know that you could or would like to work with them.
Yeah, and the other thing you can do too is if you have a bad experience with a client, do like a post-mortem on that and ask yourself, how could this project have gone more smoothly? Were there red flags I should have seen? And then kind of do the opposite and incorporate that into your ideal client. So maybe the person was really rude to you on the phone. So you'll add to your ideal client avatar that your client is really professional and appropriate with you every time that you speak or send emails back and forth. So you can use all these different learning experiences. Think about a great boss you had in the past for those personality aspects as well.
Mm-hmm. What do you find most rewarding in your work, Laura?
Personally, I love that I'm able to travel and I'm able to kind of put pause on my business and take a step away. That's really rewarding for me because it's never been about the money. I mean, obviously I need to make money to pay my bills, but for me, I've had jobs before that paid a decent wage, but there was some other major downside to it. When I was a teacher, I was working 18 hours a day to make that money. I was very stressed out. When I worked in an insurance brokerage, the work was boring and repetitive and the customers were rude. So for for me, these other aspects of my business where I get to help people, where most of the people I talk to are in a good mood, are appreciative of my services, that sort of work environment thing. I love creating a work environment that really works for me. That's really rewarding. And I think that pays off for my clients too, because they sense that I'm passionate about what I do and I'm professional and that I care about their outcomes. I'm not just there to make a quick buck and move on. A lot of my clients have been with me for months or years. So it's important for me to build that relationship.
Yeah, cultivating relationships is key in the freelance business, and I think in life, right? Because everything is built around relationships. I was thinking about inspirations. Do you have people whom you find very inspirational?
Yeah, I do. And it's a kind of a lot of different people. I love the sheer amount of work that Tim Ferriss is able to produce. We are different personalities for sure. But I'm just always amazed at the quality and the volume of the material that he puts out. So inspirational to produce in that sense. I also really love people who are just very intentional about building a life that they love. So one of those people is Adrienne Dorison. She has a podcast called The School of Self-Mastery. It's all about like business, but also personal development as well. And then, I just really find inspiration from other people as well. I have a personal trainer who lost 200 pounds. She was very obese, really struggling to get through day to day, and she lost 200 pounds. And so to me, to work out with someone like that who understands the mindset and the challenges that you experience, but also someone, she's basically helping me love running. I came to her and I said, I hate running. I would rather do any other exercise. And now she's got me running 2 and 3 in your personal life, in your business life, and just kind of like drawing from their positive energy helps a lot.
You're mentioning mindset and challenges. On the path to freedom, there will be challenges, and I imagine that you had plenty of them. How much did mindset help you? How much did it was it important to develop an empowering mindset?
Really, really important. And I blew it off for at least 2 years. I thought that just sounds like a really silly word, like whatever, I'm in business. I don't think like that. And then I realized that I actually had some mindset beliefs that were holding me back from doing better. I was taking any client that was willing to pay me to do pretty much any project. That I had some boundaries of things that I wouldn't work on, but I was working with kind of anyone and everyone. And because of that, I was giving my time and my energy away to pretty much anyone who asked for it. And I was doing it at a somewhat low price. So for me, it was a mindset belief to break, like, hey, I now have years of experience in this field. I'm not the new fledgling writer who's willing to take things to get experience. I'm trying to actually work with my clients because I have a lot of value to bring to the table. So after I had that experience of outsourcing all of my business and all of that, I actually fired half my clients. Anyone who was a problem, difficult, aggravating in any way, late payments on invoices, I let them all go. And then I started completely fresh and committed to only working with my ideal clients, even if that would be a financial challenge for me to replace that lost revenue. And I was able to replace it a lot faster than I thought I was. So those mindset things, I feel like once you click and make the difference, like once you realize, hey, I'm in a bad professional relationship here with a client, I need to fire them and move on. So hard to do, but then immediately after you do it, 1, you feel better. And then 2, almost instantly, a better client paying the same or more seems to show up. So it's like a reminder of like, yes, you do need to pay attention to your mindset and correct things when there's a problem.
So you were saying that in the first years you were like, I'm not looking into this. It's only woo. What made you change your opinion about mentality and how important it is in your business success?
Well, I realized I had a mentor who said something to me, like she said, don't recreate your job. She calls it she treats it like it's a curse word. And I said, oh my gosh, I've done that. Like I hated at the insurance brokerage when people would call and they were just rude for no reason. And we kind of had to say, oh, the customer's always right. We have to smile and act like it's okay for them to talk to you this way. But here I recreated that for myself where I had difficult clients and I was doing that all over again. So for me, it was a reminder of, why did I start and grow this business? Why am I doing it full time? It's not to deal with difficult people. It's not to have frustrating, low paying clients. And I've also found that the lowest paying clients are always, always the most difficult. They always expect the most. They're always the most aggravating, the rudest. So for me, it was sort of the combination of those things of realizing, hey, this isn't why I wanted to freelance. It wasn't just to deal with difficult people. So that allowed me to recalibrate.
And what was the process of changing your mentality or transforming it? Did you work with a coach or with a mentor?
So I had a coach. Personally, I always find that like a coach might like kind of push me in the right direction, but I'm the type of person where I don't like to be told what to do. So I'm kind of stubborn. I have to learn those lessons on my own, even if it's painful, right? So I might have to go through a period of taking on clients I don't like to realize, hey, this really isn't what I want to do. Even if a coach told me a year before, like, hey, ditch the low paying clients. So for me, it was kind of just a method of practicing what I preach too, because around that same time, I was starting to teach other people to freelance. And now I felt like an obligation to these students. Like, hey, if I'm telling them they shouldn't take bad clients, why am I doing it? Like, I gotta walk the walk here. If I'm telling other people not to do it, I need to be really authentic and have that same model in my own business. And there's something about being accountable to other people, like for me, that works so much better than just saying like, well, I know I should do that. But the second that I want to be authentic with people that I'm trying to teach to do this, people that I care about, then it's much easier to say, okay, now we're going to fix this problem.
Yeah, it's funny how it happens. I hear you totally. Like modeling what you want to experience in your life, modeling it for others is sometimes much more easy to do when you are accountable to somebody else than yourself, which is funny because actually the most beneficial is when you are doing it for yourself.
I know, but there's something about that. And, I mean, I think that's part of my personality. That's why I make such a good freelancer, because I'm deadline driven. I won't embarrass myself in front of other people. I'll let my own stuff slide a little bit. But if I have something due to a client, I take it seriously. It's the same reason why I have a personal trainer. Wouldn't work out if there wasn't somebody there pushing me to do it. So once I realized that about myself, like, hey, I kind of have to hack my brain and set up scenarios where another person is checking in on me or I'm accountable to them to guarantee that it gets done and that I hold myself to the same standards.
Yeah, I was talking to some other people who are doing freelance work and basically they are owning their businesses. And some of them were complaining about the fact that it's so much more difficult to do the work for yourself than for the client. You are so much more driven, so much more motivated when you know that you have to reach a goal for a client than when you have to do it for your own business.
Oh my gosh, it's probably the thing I struggle with the most in my business right now. And like I said, I've had to figure out ways to like hack my brain. So like just blogging didn't work for me because it was too irregular. But when I tell people, hey, there's going to be a podcast episode coming out every Tuesday and Thursday, that means I'm going to get that done. That's expected. People are waiting for it. So it's kind of, you have to like think backwards and you can even do this with your team too. Like I've had, people on my team, and I've even hired a coach to help me with my personal writing projects where they will literally just send me a message or on Friday be like, hey, did you get this done this week? And there's no judgment with it. It's not like they have to pick up that part of the project, but they're literally just being an accountability partner and saying, hey, did you do this or not? And my fear of writing back and saying, no, I didn't. I did all these other things will kind of help me actually get it done.
Yeah, I really like how you kind of hacked your mind for success by basically investing in an accountability body, whether that was a coach or that was just an ideal body that you created in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We were talking a little bit about success. I'm curious, how does business success look to you?
So for me, I'm very purposeful in my business. I want it to be financially successful, but that is not the most important metric to me. I'm sure I could make 2 or 3 times as much money in my business if I worked 60 or 80 hours a week. I'm not willing to do that. I have personal writing projects I want to work on. I love personal development, reading and learning. I'm trying to learn running as well. So like I have these other personal goals that I need to make time for in my schedule rather than having every waking hour of my day be dedicated to business. And so that's important to me, to have something that fulfills me and doesn't become this day long, like week long, year long drag. And then the other part of that is I want to be able to press pause on my business, go travel, go do other things, take 2 weeks off if I'm tired, whatever it happens to be. You know, I had my appendix out a couple of years ago and I took 2 weeks off to be able to recover for that. So for me, that's really important. I want vacation to be vacation. I don't want to feel like I have to work and respond to emails and all that. So that's why I'm super selective about the clients and the projects that I'll work with, because they have to understand that there's going to be times when I work ahead or when I'm not accessible or whatever it might be.
Yeah. Hey, Susanna. So Susanna is saying hi. Thanks for being here. Yeah, I hear you. I imagine for me also business success is actually a part of the bigger life success, right? Where you actually have time to invest yourself in everything that is meaningful to you and create the kind of life that you want to lead.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much out there, especially now, from people who do all hustle all the time. They work a lot, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's, you know, if they're workaholics and that works for them, and, you know, maybe they don't have a family or whatever, that's okay. But I just always knew that wasn't me. I'm like, that is not, I don't want to be the person who is 50 years old and has a heart attack because I pushed myself to the limit for all the years before that. Or when I have a family, I don't want to be the mom who has no choice but to make those hard decisions about putting the kids in daycare all day long. You know, I just wanted to be really mindful about how I built my business because, like you said, that life part of it is important too.
Yeah. And on the long run, I think it pays a lot because I imagine that most people who go into business for themselves, they want to build a business that allows them to have more freedom to experience all sorts of things, not only being successful in their business. Like you're talking about family. For many people, family is very important. And having the space and the time and the financial abundance to enjoy time with your family, with your friends, to explore the world.
Yeah. And if you start heading down that path of getting stressed out and working all the time, remind yourself of why you started. You know, that was my wake up call when somebody said, don't recreate your day job. So reflecting back on that and saying, hey, you know, I wanted to freelance so I could have freedom and flexibility, so I could work only with people I really like, my hours and how I work. So think about that mission and that mindset. Don't blow it off like I did. It's really, really important. It helps you get back on track if you do make, you know, a detour on the road and need to get back to what you really wanted to do.
Yeah. Okay, Laura, thank you very much. It was a really, really enriching conversation for me. So I will publish again the website where people can find you. So one is Better Biz Academy. And the other one is Six Figure Writing Secrets. You were also mentioning something, and I became curious about this, the personal writing. Are you working on what kind of, if you can, of course, disclose it?
Yeah, so it's kind of, this is my next mindset, that barrier that I need to break through. I feel like it's time for me to write things under my own name after 5 years of ghostwriting for other people. So I'm actually working on a nonfiction project. It's a book all about delegating, building a digital team, how to decide what to take off your plate. And I'm working on a really exciting fiction project that is just like this idea that I had. I've been really educating myself about a lot of it. It's about twin girls and kind of this unique experience that they have. And it's just been a complete blast to like delve into that. But like you said, I'm trying to figure out, like, I need to hack my brain on this one because I'm not consistent. I want to get to like a daily writing habit, but my brain wanders off and is like, oh, you need to work on client stuff, or you need to do a podcast or something. So I'm working on that right now. Like, how can I build this structure in so that I'm doing that? About all that. Yeah, absolutely. And about outsourcing, check out my Better Biz Academy site, because there's a lot of information about that and about outsourcing that can help you. And yeah, my book is going to be all based about my experience outsourcing and how to build a digital team effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. And what could help you develop this or structure your day so that you have time every day to work on your personal project? I really saw the energy, like it was a burst of pleasure and
I
excitement
know.
when you started talking about. So I was like, man, you have to do this every
I
single
know. I know.
day.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, like, I've got to figure out the brain hack for this one, and I don't know if it's going to be like a person checking on me, like if I need to have somebody being like where I report my daily word count to them or something along those lines, because like I said, when I have that outside accountability, I'm so much more likely to do it. So, one of my favorite authors has said she never would have finished her book if it hadn't sold based on the proposal, like because she had that deadline. So I've thought about that too, like giving myself like a fake deadline of like, you have to have it done. It's got to be to the publishing house or whatever. But yeah, I've got to figure that out because I've started it and I've probably got about like 20,000 words into this, into both of these stories, but I need to be more consistent about it. So room for improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. I am curious. I can't wait to read this book.
Oh, thanks.
So,
Awesome. There's my extra motivation.
yeah, exactly. I was thinking about that. Like, I'm gonna share this, and I'm gonna tell people, "Hey, drop Laura a message. Tell her that you are waiting for her
Yes,
book."
that will help.
Yeah. So, guys, if you are listening to this, drop Laura a message.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, thank you very much, Laura. It was a very. I'm very very grateful for this experience. I learned a lot from you, and I think that the people who are watching will have a lot of food for thought.
Awesome. No, it was my pleasure. Great to talk to you, and I'm so excited to follow your show and all of that in the future.
Yeah, thank you very much. Then have a happy day.
You too. Bye
Bye.
bye.